So now on to the rest of the conference. I would now like to introduce Disability Voices United's Vice President, Fernando Gomez, who is also the co-founder of the Integrated Community Collaborative, the father of two fantastic young guys, and the most dedicated leader in the disability community. I'm now going to spotlight you so that everybody can see you. Thank you, Fernando.
Thank you, Judy. And wow, what a great start to these 3 days of amazing information. Thank you for sharing all that, Judy. One of the many things that Governor Brown got right was appointing Nancy Bargmann as a director of the California Department of Developmental Services in 2016. The department, in conjunction with the 21 private nonprofit regional centers that are located throughout the state, provides services and supports to over 380,000 Californians with developmental disabilities. Director Bargmann has extensive experience in the developmental services field. She served as Deputy Director of the Community Services Division at DDS, where she developed policy and oversaw regional center operations and services. Ms. Bargmann has also served as Associated Executive Director at the San Gabriel Pomona Regional Center, in many positions at Inland Regional Center as well. She was Executive Director at Home Ownership for Personal Empowerment and held several positions at the Mentor Network. Ms. Bargmann started her career working with individuals with developmental disabilities as a direct service professional with the ARC of Orange County. My wife, Elizabeth, and I consider Nancy a blessing, a North Star, one who has always had her door open for self-advocates and families. She may have the background and many years of experience, but the most amazing and the important thing about Nancy is her heart and the unparalleled commitment to serve our community. We appreciate her willingness to listen to our concerns, particularly those of people of color. The self-determination program has been a priority for her, and we look forward to working closely with her and the department as we prepare for the statewide rollout. Ayúdeme, por favor, en darle la bienvenida a la directora del departamento, Nancy Bargmann. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to DDS Director, Nancy Bargmann.
Gracias. Fernando, you are too kind, and really thank you so much for such a warm welcome. And I'm humbled by your very kind and generous words. As I've always said, that Elizabeth and Fernando and so many others have been my North Star as I've done this wonderful work over the last 30 plus years. While I've had the opportunity to go through education and social work and use that as kind of my foundation, I will tell you that my greatest lessons learned and has always been with the individuals that teach me every day and have done so from the very first day that I walked into the Orange County Association, the ARC, back in, I think it was 1985. And so from that day forward, it just has been an absolutely wonderful opportunity to be part of a community that is beyond special. So thank you. And as Fernando said, I am the director of the Department of Developmental Services. I have this great honor to be able to be in this position, but in addition to that honor, it is actually a really important responsibility. And I get the benefit and be able to take a look at how do we move really important initiatives that are a priority to our community. And the way that we do that is really about listening to each of you and hearing what is important, how do we make sure that we embrace the values and where we want to make sure that people have the opportunity for choice, how people can live their best life and fulfill their hopes and their dreams. And I get this really great opportunity to do that. So thank you. And I certainly am very grateful to former Governor Brown and Governor Newsom for giving me this opportunity to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and provide you just a little updates on where we are with self-determination, what we're doing to address, as it's been noted, the barriers that we're seeing in implementation of self-determination. How do we move forward and make sure that together that we are doing it in a way that is addressing the issues that are being shared and making sure it's a sustainable service. You know, we want self-determination to be part of the answer for many individuals and have it sustainable for years to come. So I do have, I apologize, I'm going to use a PowerPoint presentation to share some of those updates and have some of the discussion. So if, I think, Ed, are you helping me with putting that up?
Hi, Nancy. You should be able to share it now. I've just made you co-host.
Oh, okay, great. So let me go ahead and move over to the technical side of what I'm not always the greatest at, but I'm going to make sure that I do this in a way that is helpful for all of you. Here we go. There we are. Okay, thank you. So I am, again, for me to talk about the values of self-determination program is not going to be really the best way. And I apologize, I do have a 7-month-old puppy who's decided to bark at the people outside. So we'll see if we can get him to get distracted and join us in our presentation. But the values, you know, is really about choice. And the heart of self-determination is about being able to have a person-centered plan that captures the hopes and dreams of individuals. But the things that we really looked at, you know, back in 2013, when we were developing the framework on how to operationalize self-determination, was looking at the key values of freedom, you know, freedom to be able to have the opportunity for individuals of how people want to live their life, the authority over their budgets. You know, Judy had talked about the spending plan, you know, the flexibility to be able to make the decisions, to be able to purchase services and supports to help, you know, lead to the ways that people want to live their best life. The support to arrange for resources to help individuals live and participate in the community. But also the responsibility. Self-determination really brings an incredible responsibility to the participants, so to self-advocates and family members, because as you're making the decisions and spending the funds, there's still a responsibility of making sure that it's doing in alignment with the kind of the requirements of the program. There are requirements of being eligible for federal funding, you know, those parameters, and making sure that the decisions are being made in a way that is also responsible. But responsibility doesn't just land in the lap of self-advocates and family members, but it's also responsibility also as a state, responsibility for regional centers, advocates. All of us need to be in partnership in looking at how do we make sure that we are looking at the barriers, the opportunities, what are the next steps, lessons learned, but also the responsibility that it's available for every individual. I'm going to talk a little bit, and Fernando had shared certainly my commitment and so many others of really addressing issues of service access and equity, particularly within our communities of color, and certainly for those communities who are very dependent on the supports of others in various languages, to include ASL. So we are very concerned about making sure that self-determination doesn't have a barrier of access to services, that we do address the service access and equity. And that's a responsibility that we all need to kind of wrap ourselves around. And then confirmation, you know, understanding the importance of the role of self-advocates and families. It is about support, making sure that they have a voice, that they're driving self-determination, that they have their person-centered plan, but more importantly, the flexibility to be able to make changes as they have life changes, and really confirming that it is important that we listen and not just hear what people are saying, but feel it and see how we can support it. And those are my takeaways of what people have taught me over the years of the importance of how to have a self-determined life. So updates on our enrollment, as Judy had noted that today, and you'll see up here, is that there's a total of 499 individuals that are actively in the self-determination program. We had started with a selection of 2,500. We had done additional selection to be able to help people move through the process of getting to have a expenditures and spending under self-determination program and away from traditional services. We are seeing a significant progress right now of individuals that have gone through orientation, a number of individuals that have their expenses that were spent over the last 12 months to establish their budget, and then working towards identifying their financial management service. There's those steps that we are seeing progress in. The greatest amount of our growth in getting to the 499 has actually been in this last year. So if you take a look at from January 1st, 2020 to getting to right now in February 2021, it is our fastest growth that we've had. So I really want to thank everybody in helping us do that. It's incredible that we were able to achieve that, because certainly the pandemic has created barriers to people being able to move through not only self-determination, but also our traditional services, and we as a state have had to be responsive to help people with that flexibility. And I'm super proud, while I'd like to have that number significantly higher, as I know all of you would. I am super proud of the fact that over this last year that we didn't allow the pandemic to stop this growth and moving forward. So a little bit about the enrollment and equity that I think is really important to be mindful of. And as you hear me talk about that the department's developing a plan, as we get input from our community, our advocates, self-advocates, family members, and other advocates, one of the things that is most important is to take a look at how are we going to make sure that various communities and that we are providing an open door to self-determination for everybody who is interested in accessing self-determination. We are definitely still seeing a disproportionate number of individuals who are white that are moving through the process of self-determination more so than our communities of color. So this is an area that we're really going to be focusing on. So you'll see that in this green section, this is our original identification of our 2,500 individuals that were part of the first selection and tracking, but also we had split the allocation, if you will, of that 2,500 to each of the regional centers that would represent their community. So their community based on their ethnic representation of their total consumer population. So statewide, we were identifying of the 2,500 that we would need to achieve. Of the 2,500, 38% of the individuals would need to be from the consumers that have identified as Latino. And when we take a look at where we are today, for those that are actively working under the self-determination program, the 499, we're at just about 25%. Within our African American community, you'll see that the target and looking at being able to represent our community is 9.1%. So that tells us of our 350,000 individuals in California that we serve through the regional center system, just slightly over 9% have identified as Black or African American. And so we are right now seeing about 5% of the individuals that are of the 499 that are at Black or African American. So this is something. The other area that we are looking at is the average expenditures, or how much are people spending? What is their budget? And we are still seeing a higher expenditure and budget within individuals who are white as compared to our communities of color. So again, we're looking at those. Really important for us to start identifying ways to support individuals to be able to not only access self-determination, but to understand the inequity right now in spending, important factor for us to work through. So efforts that we've recently worked on addressing many of the barriers have really appreciated State Council's report, certainly DBU advocating and others advocating to say, hey, DDS, here are some of the barriers that we're seeing in being able to move forward with self-determination. And didn't want to wait until after the 3 years. So there already have been initiatives that we've put forward. Certainly some of them have been in response to the pandemic, to see what could we remove to make sure that the pandemic then didn't add that extra layer of barrier. So I'm just going to highlight a few of these. So providing the initial person-centered plans, that there's funds available to be able to help support and to expand, that we did this to say that how do we make sure that families have access to funds before they're actually in the self-determination program. So early on, we had identified that we needed to kind of lift that barrier. Clarifying that transition services could be provided by independent facilitators, financial management services, so your FMSs, community-based organizations, to include family resource centers. So really seeing how we can open it up to where we can support transition services early on, and bringing on more supports to self-advocates and family members to be able to navigate early on, to understand kind of their budget, to develop their spending plan, and then to be able to move to the program. Authorizing regional centers to pay for FMS instead of the coming out of the participants' budget was really important during the state of emergency. So we have a directive that has issued that as a way to be able to bridge it. Certainly virtual platforms such as Zoom has been a way to be able to provide orientations and other training. Translation of materials has been really critical, again, to address those service access issues. We as a department have been extremely committed to spending time with our stakeholders, our community-based organizations, understanding those barriers. Also providing self-determination training to our community-based organizations. Certainly the things that we're doing are only really kind of a complement to what regional centers, but also the advocates, Disability Voices United, monthly trainings have been really important, and bringing in speakers. So we also wanted to make sure that we're providing that extra assistance and support where we could. Issuing directives for the implementation of the program, clarifying in our FAQs, and making sure that we're updating our website anytime that we're providing that clarification. More recently, and I'll talk about a couple of them, but the annual service access and equity grants, what used to be called the disparity grants, we've really encouraged and asked for people to submit ideas and proposals. And we were able to support several different initiatives under these grants to be able to implement self-determination or to provide training for particularly independent facilitators that will be helpful in helping transition folks to the program. So super excited that we have been able to support that not only in 18-19, but in our most recent grant cycle. Recently, DDS also had an opportunity to apply for support from the federal government, and really excited that we received approval to be able to receive technical assistance to say, we need to understand how we can also address some of these barriers, because we want this to be a sustainable program moving forward. And so we were able to get it. We're actively working with our consultants that is supported through this technical assistance, and that's helping us inform our plan that the department will be releasing in the coming weeks. We've, like I said, reached out to our stakeholders. Some of the input that we've received is things that you've heard today already, but also things that you're going to hear. And we're also open to hearing more about what are some of the things that would help improve our efforts to advance self-determination. And the things we've heard is that we can improve on the orientation, making it shorter, using plain language, short videos, doing something that is outside of our existing efforts, looking at something statewide. Also, it was provided to us of saying we need to make sure that we're continuing to support in the transition to help people navigate through the process. It was shared that person-centered planning and transition funds need to continue, really wanting to make sure that there's an effort and focus on independent facilitators who are bilingual, bicultural, to be able to help support primarily the non-English speaking participants, but others as well. Enrollment can take too long, looking at ways that we can streamline to make sure that we can help from the point that somebody is expressing that, hey, that they want to be a part of self-determination. How do we make sure that we break down those barriers and streamline? One of the biggest issues was developing the budget. That has been reported to us as taking too long. So we're definitely looking at how we can streamline that. And then really the importance of local advisory committees and how DDS can help support their efforts. And we really want to be able to see what those next steps could be. The expansion. So we are, as I said, working on a plan to expand the self-determination program. You'll be seeing that, and again, really appreciate everybody's input. The areas that we're absolutely prioritizing is a timely and successful transition. How are we going to make that happen? I will say we're going to continue to ask for some patience. Certainly if there's a lot of individuals that are interested in moving forward as we update our waiver. We have our waiver that starts July 1st that we would be moving forward. And how are we expanding that? So as we're doing that, again, we need to use these opportunities to learn and to how best support. But it is going to still take some time to make sure that we're able to implement some of these efforts. Increasing access and equity. Again, you hear this is a priority, not only in traditional services that we're looking at, but absolutely a priority for self-determination. Really appreciate the efforts of the Autism Society of LA. There's also the USC University of Centers for Excellence is expanding their efforts to really train a very diverse independent facilitators. We want to see how we can help support their efforts, and then ensuring the effectiveness and the long-term sustainability of the program. So again, you'll hear more about how are we going to be able to do that. I just want to tell you a little bit about, those are the structural things and they're important, but listening to real people's lives and what's important to them. As I shared, my North Star has always been about the people that we serve. And it is always a great day for me when I get a chance to talk to our self-advocates. My greatest, while I love being the director of the department and having this role, I will say that my two favorite jobs certainly were working as a direct service professional myself, but also then as a service coordinator at a regional center and getting that hands-on conversation with families to hear what's important. And so when I get that chance now in my current role, it's my favorite part of my day. So recently I had a chance, because Zack's story, and then we were able to feature in our newsletter, and I had a chance to talk to Zack's mom because I wanted to hear more about their experience and what led them to want self-determination. But these are the things that gets us excited about what self-determination can be for people. So in talking with Zack's mom, I asked, why? What was the interest? What was the choice for you as a family? And it was really kind of special to hear about Zack's early childhood experiences in school and the fight that the family had to be able to say, we want Zack to be able to have an inclusive life, inclusive in education and going to school, but not only for Zack's benefit, but also for the community's benefit, of saying that this is an education and opportunity for everybody to see what a wonderful contribution that individuals with developmental disabilities can add to the community and to the life of all of us. So listening to kind of that journey was particularly special. But now leading into, as they tried to navigate as an adult, they had traditional services. They were going to a vendored program, and that during that time, they, in an 18-month period, they had something like 12 different staff supporting Zack. And it was really difficult to be able to then have Zack live the life that he was choosing and how to be able to have it very meaningful. So self-determination was an answer for them. And so as Zack loves being outside, he was able to participate in all one ocean, and loves to be out by the ocean. He obviously loves to be able to be in the ocean, not only be able to see it. So the story that she shared with me, I thought was very heartwarming. So as Zack is taking his long walks, a 2-mile walk to the ocean, and he was picking up trash, and he was doing this, and at some point, some others that were walking along this path with him, were kind of looking at him like, what are you doing? And listening to how slight changes and commitments and working with those opportunities absolutely changed the experience. That someone gave him a vest, an orange vest. And so as he was going along and picking up the trash, it changed everything at that point, because now people were thanking him for cleaning up and keeping the trail clean. And as he did this, he now has a volunteer job that is leading into a paid internship, and with the goal of having a competitive job. And the importance and the value, and listening to his mom talk about how he is enjoying this, and you could just see the joy that not only does he see the joy in kind of walking down this path and talk about, okay, it's a journey, it's a long walk, then he gets to get to the ocean, and once he's kind of cleaned it all up, he gets to see the ocean, and that just brings him joy. So I think that is, for me, when I think of self-determination and get to hear these unique stories, that's what it's about. It's about being able to have the people to help on your journey on that path to see the ocean, if that's your choice. So I do just want to close with just saying, we want to hear from others, if there's other recommendations. Please do send us a note. Let us know how we can help. As we release our plan that outlines and here's the email that you can go ahead and send to sdp@dds.ca.gov. We'd like to hear from you. We'd like to hear about what's working and any other recommendations, so we are committed. We continue to be committed. I'm excited to see what the future holds. Very excited to see how we make sure that we have a program that is structured in a way that allows for the flexibility, that allows for the choice, but also takes on that challenge of responsibility to have it be a sustainable program, to make sure that we have the areas in which we need to learn from lessons and build some structure that is also going to help the sustainability, but not take away from the flexibility. You are going to be able to participate in many great things over the next few days. And I know you're going to enjoy those conversations. I remember, Judy, when I had the opportunity to join you guys in person, one of the speakers had said, kind of wish could feel the energy, and you do feel it. I'll tell you that when I was at the conference the last time, you definitely felt the energy and the excitement. I join you in that excitement and look forward to the future. And again, really appreciate, Judy, you giving me some space to be able to say welcome. And I'm wishing you guys all the best over the next few days. And we'll look forward to hearing from you some more. So
thank you,
have
Nancy.
a great time.
Thank you, Nancy, so much. Nancy Bargmann has just been such a supporter of self-determination over the years. And I always tell her this, that her door is always open, her phone is always available. And we so appreciate that. We need to have, our government officials need to be like Nancy, where she's available, she's willing to listen to us and put us at the table. So thank you for everything, Nancy.